Ustedes tenemos que grabar, okay?
Okay. So this is a process map that I made just a few hours ago, or just an hour ago. And it's talking about the implementation of the testing materials. So there are, as you can see, different processes or steps that need to go through. In this process map, you'll see different ideas that can be had. And I just want to talk to you about it and see what will make sense, pretty much.
Okay.
So the first one is, and also I'm going by this model here, the ASSURE model. This is the analyze learners, state the standards and objectives, select strategies, technology, media, materials, utilize them, require learner participation, and evaluate and revise. So I tried to kind of like implement little things that made sense going along the way. Like I said, it's not a full-blown, extensive play-by-play, but it's just like a quick, I guess, snapshot or synopsis of what each process would be, or each step would be. So the first one is analyze learners and identify the students or classes who are scoring below a proficient.
Okay.
So that's the first one. That's the first thing we want to do, is just identify which classes that we need to focus on. And I think we've done that before. Especially in IoT, we have identified those students that we need to actually sit down and actually work with a little bit more, help have a way to for them to. Number two, we're going to state the standards and objectives, and I've seen that happen as well. Dr. James has gone to all of the classes and actually had a conversation with the students and the teachers together to show them what the scores are. And I think I've also listed here, selecting some strategies. Once we get to step 3, what strategies can we use to help build the use of the testing materials and the strategy that we have. So I offered the KEMP design, which is this one here. And I didn't choose it because it said KEMP New.
Okay.
But if we look at it, it has identify instructional problems and specify the goals and design for the program. So basically we are starting the program and we're trying to figure out how we can get to this point here. I'm sorry, not this point. Number 8, developing an evaluation instruments to assess the objectives. So we're trying to get a way to have the students, or the teachers rather, teach the material in a way where students can understand the delivery, the message and delivery. They can understand the overall goal of what it is that we're trying to do.
Will this be like what we did with our MCAP Madness? Like,
Yes.
the CAP Madness competition?
Yes. So that would be something that we can implement, is continue to keep going as well. So that is an implementation right there, just like you said.
Get some feedback on them and how it went, and how we could revise it for next year.
Yes. But just these are, like I said, these are just small blurbs of what I thought could probably help us moving forward. One thing I do want to bring your attention to is this one here, Amplify. So this one here, Amplify, is an MCPS tool that is available for us on Clever, on Clever. But basically what it is that students are able to, sorry, I'm trying to see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Students are able to make do a writing prompt. And I wanted to see if we could actually have them be able to use the scratch sheet of paper to start to write out their writing prompts and things of that nature. And try to see if we can use those same testing tools we have in the daily instruction. You know, if we can use that in the daily instruction, then we'll be able to, once the test comes, it's already automatic. We've been using it since first quarter.
We've been trying to do that a lot with certain graphic organizer for different types of text structure and teaching them, like, compare, contrast, and so that they can quickly on their scratch paper during the test, they know, oh, this one's asking me compare and contrast, to write something about compare and contrast, let me draw my Venn diagram, or let me draw my T-chart, or and so we've been trying to be kind of consistent with what graphic organizers we're teaching, so that they can just pop into their mind and they would need that would support them on the test.
Yes. So let me ask you this question. So when you use the graphic organizers, are they already printed, or
we have done it already printed? But recently we've been trying to teach them to use their scratch paper during instruction and draw it for themselves, so that then when they get to a test and they don't have the accommodation of a graphic organizer, I mean some of them do, but when they don't have the actual graphic organizer, they will just remember how to draw it themselves, so that they can use that strategy also.
Yeah, and I'm glad I brought that point up, because I remember when I was in school, I did the same thing. Like when we did have those compare and contrast, or we had to figure out how this is different from the other. We did write those Venn diagrams. I remember writing the lines on it too. So I was just curious to ask you, because I don't know. I'm the music teacher, so I was just curious to know if that's what we were doing.
That's what we tried to do with this test prep and practice, is really teach them the different text structures and teach them different graphic supports that match with that, and then have them practice doing those keeping those graphic organizers on their scratch paper, so then when they get to the test they can do that for themselves, because some kids do have the accommodation of graphic organizers, blank graphic organizers, but many don't. But if they know, different organizers that would help them to organize their thinking for different text structures or different questions that are asking them to compare and contrast, or say similarities, whatever, they can use their scratch paper and do that organizer.
So, for the scratch paper, do you think? Because I was told one time.
We also use the thinking paper strategy that Miss Clary taught.
This is the same.
So you say the thinking paper that Miss Clary came up with?
Yeah, she uses thinking paper with the white paper, and I can't remember exactly how it is, but she taught that last year, and the kids, we have it, and they've been using it all throughout the year. I don't remember exactly how that one goes, but.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you about this one strategy, and I think we can probably just talk a little bit more about it later on. But I do want to ask you this. What are your thoughts on this scratch pieces of paper, right? As soon as students get the test, or as soon as this test starts, we're already writing down notes immediately. What are your thoughts on that? It's whatever, if I say, for instance, we're doing the math test, right? And we have formulas. I'm already writing those formulas out from the jump. What are your thoughts on that?
I see what you're saying, but they only have 40 minutes for this test, and they can't have anything. So I would hate for them to try to start the test and take time to write all their formulas, and then the clock is ticking, and then they don't get to engage with all the questions. That's the only thing I would, as they're going, if they're ooh, that formula, and they write it down. But I don't know, I just would hate for them to get too stuck on trying to remember things and not starting the test. But I don't know, that's just my initial thought.
Okay.
I mean, maybe take a minute or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we visually show them the clock, but we'd have to be very specific about that, because they only have 40 minutes and they don't get any extra time to finish. For the math one.
Okay. Thank you. Because I was thinking about that too. Maybe it is a time test.
Yeah, their time.
Okay. And one last thing. Over the break, I was able to create this too. Where's Canva? Give me a second. Okay, here it is. So I was able to create a checklist for teachers. So I've already administered the checklist to majority everybody. I do have to print out a few more. And I know that we're doing language school, we need to have them in English and in Spanish. But I had a teacher checklist that we could probably use so that teachers can say, okay, by the end of the lesson or by the end of the day, did I refer to the checklist during class? Did I demonstrate how to use the test? I mean, how to use the test.
When you say the checklist, you mean the teaching strategies posters you
Yes.
created? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did I observe and collect data with the use of the tools? So this is just a teacher checklist that teachers can say, okay, I want to make sure I hit these points today.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's good. Are you expecting this, for every lesson, or for as they're doing specific stuff, or I can't remember exactly what the chart looked like. I know you showed it to me before, the other one.
Yes. I should have it here. If not, I have it. Sorry, this is another thing that I'm working on. Nope, that's not it. Give me a second while I pull it up. But before we go there, can I show you this real quick? This is really what I was working on. The uses of the highlighter and actually saying what you can use the highlighter for. Making things readable, identifying things. Maybe you want to use different color highlighters so you can indicate which thing you're trying to focus on.
Yeah. I mean, I know teachers use the highlighters in different purposes, but I don't know if they've explicitly taught all the different ways like this states. But it would be good for them.
Okay. And this here is also the uses for the scratch paper too. And I'm glad I put this here too, because we were talking about making Venn diagrams and concept maps. And as you can see, it's almost like a checklist too, this piece here. And then the marquee tool, the X tool that they use in the test, how you can use it and what you can use it for. Is this something that we can probably implement in?
Absolutely. And when they go to the, they can go over the explicit way to use it, but then they can go to actually the MCAP website and then practice using the tools. Because a lot of times it's a disservice to the kids when we don't actually let them practice with the tools before the test.
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yes.
And then with my cats.
Awesome. Yeah.
So they would just refer back to this to try to say, okay, did I hit this point today? Did I do this? And when we do have assessments for our class, you can still implement this same checklist to help with, scoring higher on our assessments.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Okay.